Right, welcome back everybody. Aesop Grim here. This is the continuation of our EVE Online Chronicle, and boy, we have some things to talk about. I've got good news and I've got bad news. So, I guess because of chronological order, let's go good news first. Alright, the good news is I did some comparisons between ratting and missioning. And the reason I did that is because I had run into some missions where I gained negative standing with other factions. And that is sort of the nature of the beast when it comes to missioning. As you're working for one corporation in one of the major factions' space, you will sort of by nature gain negative standing with the faction that is opposed to that faction that you're kind of clearing pirates out in their space. You know, you're doing it for servant sisters of Eve, but it's also benefiting the Menmatar, for example. Well, the Amar aren't going to like that, right? So that's kind of how that works. There's this sort of give and take when it comes to standings when you're doing missions. And so when you're ratting, though, you don't suffer any of those penalties. So with missioning, there's another step you have to consider, and that is you might have to work on something called the plan, or you might have to go do the Sisters of Eve Epic Arc in order to repair your faction standings with these other major factions if it gets bad enough, which it very much can. Okay, now I want to Alt-Tab us in to the game, and I'm going to show you this is why, if you recall, at the beginning of this game I trained up diplomacy and connections. If we go over here to interactions, you can see with the Caldari state, I have at the bottom there of the toolbox, the standing is at 2.24, but look at the top, base standing is 1.56. Due to connections, I'm gaining a 0.68 plus 0.68 with them, which results in a final score of 2.24. It helps a lot. And if we sort by date here, you can see I've gained some negative standing the past two interactions I've had that you can see it's a derived modification. That's kind of like secondhand. Like, you didn't hurt us directly, but you are working for interests that are helping our enemy. So we're not happy about that. That's what that's basically saying. And my skills here helped to mitigate that drop. Really, probably more appropriately, it amplified my positive gains with them. Okay. Let's look at the Amar, though. Look at this graph. Bam, 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 bam. I have gone from a negative 0.1 base standing. Well, I went from a positive 0.083. No, 1.62. From 1.62 to negative to 1.11. Okay, so technically I'm still in the positive with them, but you can see it's been steady hits. And that's because I was operating in Menmatar space, which I will tell you about here momentarily. Right now we're in Galente space. And last I left off with you guys, we were also in Galente space. I'm in the space station that I left off with you guys. But I went to another space station and ran missions out there in Menmatar space, and that helped the Menmatar, so I gained reputation with the Menmatar. You can see it going up, but lost it with the Amar. But due to my skill of diplomacy, which kicks in whenever I have negative standing, and you can see I have negative 0.1 with them, I gained 1.21. So that keeps me at 1.11. I'm showing you this to show you it's a really significant difference that those skills of diplomacy and what was the other one? I'm blanking on it now. Let's see. It was connections. Connections and diplomacy really make a big difference there. Now, why was I taking these hits? Because if you open up the agency, I was looking at my mission agents, and I looked at security agents, and I went highest available, any distance. I wanted it to be in high sec space. I wanted it to be with Servant Sisters of Eve. And what I found was that at Semela, which is in, I think, the constellation of Genesis, there was a level 3, a level 2, and a level 1 Servant Sisters of Eve agents in this one station. And that's like pretty much perfect. So I went out there and I began running missions out there because it allowed me to drop down to level 1 if I needed to. Remember, I was kind of waffling on that before. Or jump up to level 3 as we improved our ship and stuff. So it was great. But that's also where I started running into problems with the Amar, and I was getting a lot of bad reputation with Amar. Now we're going to start. Let's see. Okay, so continuing on that thread, I told you that I compared ratting to missioning, and I'm only at level 2 missioning. And once I got that mobile tractor unit, guys, which was expensive, and I got the cormorant equipped for salvaging, which was not that bad. That was kind of easy to do, actually. Then I was making 2 to 4 million an hour, which is a big step up for me in this series. 2 to 4 million an hour doing just level 2 missions. That all starts to amplify up whenever you get to level 3, level 4 missions, and it climbs up kind of significantly. Jumping another level in missions is not a small thing, as I understand it. Whenever I was doing the ratting, I was getting more like 1 million. I think I probably could have gotten 2 million an hour if things went really well, but that was the thing. It was a lot more sketchy. When you do missions, those things are reserved for you. Nobody else can really come into your mission area. It's like your own little instance. When you're doing ratting, that's open to the public. So if you go to exploration and you go to combat anomalies, it'll tell you that we have an emerging conduit in this system. One jump away, we have an emerging conduit. Both of these do have, it's not Sancha, it's Serpentis ratting systems in them. And I have a note here that tells me what rank order those are in. For high sec, it goes hideaway, burrow, refuge, den. I basically don't waste my time on hideaways. I go to burrows, refuges, and dens. And then in low sec, they also have dens, but they're hidden dens, forsaken dens, and forlorn dens. Then they have yards, rally points, ports, hubs, havens, and sanctums. The conclusion I reached. Oh, by the way, these difficulties change according to the level of your space. So we're in 0.7 right here. And in the agency tab, I was in Semela is in 0.5. So I think I went to a refuge in Semela and I got trashed. I was able to grab my MTU and get out of there, but I tried that thing 3 times. And I just got chewed up, man. And I finally remembered, oh, yeah, when it comes to ratting, the difficulty is determined by the level of space that you're in. So the conclusion that I reached, and I could be wrong about it, but the conclusion I reached was that ratting really doesn't become lucrative until you get into low and null sec. And you're kind of hitting these last ones here. Maybe it could be all of them, but the key is low sec or null sec. If you are in high sec, I don't think ratting can hold a candle against missions. I think you're better off running missions, especially when you can get up to level 3, level 4, even level 5 missions in high sec. And so you're better off doing that. Do the ratting for low sec and null sec. Actually, I think level 5 missions are in low and null sec too, but I'm not for sure. But you guys kind of get the gist, right? So here's the deal. Once I started figuring out how to get in and get out of missions pretty efficiently, drop my MTU in there, go back, change out ships, take my cormorant out in order to do the salvaging. And remember, the mobile tractor unit pulls all of the wrecks towards it and loots them. So I would loot it. I would let it do its thing while I was going back to the station and swapping ships. Then I would go out, and by that time, all the wrecks would be here, and the MTU would have all the loot inside it. So I would loot it into the cormorant, load up my MTU into the cormorant, and then salvage everything and fly back. And whenever I got that system going pretty well, I was making 3.5 to 4 million an hour. And that allowed me to jump up. Remember, I had told you I was going to buy that MTU, and I took a significant hit. It brought me down from 25 million down to 16 million. But in the space of, I think it was like 3 hours, guys, I think it took me a couple runs to really kind of get it down. So let's say starting at about 18 million, in the space of about 3 hours of work, I went from 18 million up to about 28 that you see right there, 28 million. So the good news is that I have that process down. I have determined I want to stay with missions and not go with ratting right now. Ratting would be for low sec. And I have the system in place I can make money back. And that's a good thing, because here's the bad news. Okay. While I was out there in Samela, the Triglavians came. Now, I have never had any problems with Triglavian forces before. Every now and again, I'll zip into a Triglavian controlled system, and they'll target me at the gate, but then I'll warp to the next gate before they can really do anything. They'll get a little bit of shield damage. But in this case, maybe because it was 0.5 space, they were actually attacking the base I was at, like this space station. They were hitting the space station. And I would exit the space station. I'd get touched up by them, but I would warp out quick enough. And I was really kind of sitting there being like, I mean, does it really matter? Can I do this safely and just stay here while the Triglavians are here? But when you're in a Triglavian system, it'll tell you it's being invaded, and there's sort of a progression that they make. And I was watching those symbols, and I was seeing they were getting stronger and stronger. So I decided, you know what? I don't think I should be here anymore. So we need to pull chalks and go back to this station that I'm in right now. So I loaded everything up in the moving van, the hauler, but this time the hauler, with the destroyer and the cormorant, I couldn't fit everything in there. So I have to make 2 trips. I had to do that whenever I moved out there also. But I can get 90% of it into the hauler the first time. So I loaded up my destroyer. Well, they're both destroyers, but I loaded up the missile boat, the Korax, which I was starting to do pretty doggone good in. And I loaded up about 90% of everything else. Really, all I had left was the cormorant. And I think I had stripped the cormorant down. It was stripped down. I canceled the insurance, and it was actually packed up also. But I could not fit it. It was the only item that could not fit into the hauler whenever I had everything else in there. Well, I made the haul out here. It's like, I don't know. It's like, here, we can set destination. It's 16 jumps. So I made the 16 jumps. See the triangles? That means that they're controlled by Triglavian. Danger, this star system has been invaded by Triglavian forces. Enter at your own risk. So I made the 16 jumps out here, and then I took 16 jumps back, and I got into the space station, and I packed up the cormorant, and I exited, and there they were. And they targeted me, and before that hauler could get pointed and zip out of there, they nuked me. Now, whose fault is that? I'm telling you guys, it is squarely my fault. It's my fault. Everything this is the thing with EvE. You're going to run into stuff and you're going to be like, this game stinks. I hate this game. Why do I even play this? It does this, it does that. Why can't I do this? I can't get this happen. And you're going to want to blame the game. But this game is deep. It's exceptionally deep, and they have thought it through from A to Z over the past couple decades. And there is always, always, always a solution. Remember that. There is always, always, always a solution. If you're getting ganked or blown up or done in, it's not because the game is putting you in a terrible position. The whole nature of the game is putting you in a terrible position already. That's kind of the way that's what it's built to do. The problem is that you are ignorant about some component, some facet, or whenever I say ignorant, it's not a bad word. It doesn't mean you're stupid. Ignorance is not stupid. Ignorance is a lack of experience and a lack of knowledge, which is where everybody starts on everything. And you begin to learn and uncover stuff. So what I was not doing was I was not tanking my hauler. Well, why not? Because in the past, every time I played this game, I've never had to tank a hauler. Unless I was going into low sec trying to, I don't know, do trade runs or something. I've never had to tank a hauler. But with the Triglavian invasion, and they can invade anywhere in high sec, you really need to. Well, so I got my shit blown up, and what I did is I did the noobish thing. I was like, well, that was bad luck. And I was like, it's okay. It's just a cormorant, and I don't even need the hauler. I'll just replace the cormorant. And that was pretty easy to do. I don't think I actually replaced it. I was just going to replace it. Okay. Well, here comes in the same day, in the same session of gameplay, I got one of those urgent Sisters of Eve missions. Remember a few episodes ago, I was in transit doing the Sister of Eve epic arc, and I got a notification and went ding and said, you have a new email, and it was from this Sisters of Eve agent. So I clicked on it, and it said, we have an urgent need. We need you to deliver some goods from this place to that place or whatever it is, and it will affect your standings significantly. So I was like, yeah, I want more of that. I want to take advantage of opportunities like that. Well, another one came through for me. So I was like, okay, I better go take care of that, because if you let them sit there forever, eventually they'll basically send you a nasty mail that says, I waited and waited and waited for you and finally got tired of it. I'm very disappointed. And you actually take a pretty significant standings hit. So I really thought honestly about not doing it, because it was out there, man. It was like 23 jumps away, and I was like, man, I don't really want to do this. But I went ahead and headed out there, and what do you know? That place is Triglavian controlled also. And I went out there in my missile boat, the Corax or whatever, Cormax, or I can't remember what it's called. And I got to the place, and the guy wanted me to deliver this stuff, and I needed 500 cubic meters. I think I had 400. I was kind of close. Nothing I was going to be able to do could really change that, though. I guess I could have gotten cargo hold expanders. I don't know if I was at 400. I might have been at 350. But what I ended up doing was I was already nervous, because this system was controlled by Triglavians, and I just lost a hauler and my cormorant, and I'm like, oh my goodness, so I purchased another hauler. This time I got the Tiana or something like that. It's not the basic Caldari hauler. It's another version that looks to me to be better, but it was actually selling cheaper, so I bought it. It was one jump away. So I actually got smart about this, because I realized the Triglavians, where they're at in a system, you're not really sure. It's a little bit random. And when I got there, I think that they were outside the base. So what I did was I exited my destroyer, and I got out in my Corvette that they gave me. I just clicked board my Corvette. They gave me a free ship. I exited. I got nuked right away. They were there. Right. So I went back in, and I'm thinking to myself, man, there's no button to see outside or anything. So I asked for another Corvette, and I exited, and they were gone. This was like immediately after I just got nuked. They were gone. So I realized at that point in time, wow, okay, it's random, or it's very rapid, right? It's at least rapid. I don't know if it's random or not. Maybe they're keying in on, oh, there's a target over there. Let's go back to that point. I'm not sure what's driving it, but it's fast. You know, they're there for a little bit, and then they're gone, and then they're back. Maybe they're doing a loop around the system. I don't know. But I exited, and they were gone. And so I went back in, or no. I at that point in time, I went over to that one system away, and I picked up my hauler, and I came back to the system, and I was like, oh my gosh, how can I find out if they're over by the base? And I tried to do a directional scan, but I couldn't find out how to point the directional scan. And I'm not really sure how you would find out if there's enemies around the space station, but I have this feeling like I think it's the directional scan. And I just couldn't figure out how to point it. So I basically gambled. And I got there, and there was nobody there. The Triglavians weren't around the station, so I was able to safely dock. So then I undocked. I got everything ready. I put in the new stuff, not the new stuff, the mission item that he wanted transported. I stripped down my missile boat, including the mobile tractor unit that I had with me, and I put all that into my hauler, my new hauler. And then I stripped the insurance off of the missile boat, and I packaged it up, and I put that in there. And then I got back into my Corvette and exited to see if anybody was there, and the coast was clear. I come back, I get out of the Corvette, I destroyed it real quick, I jumped into the hauler, I exited, and bam, they're there. And I tried to get out, and they nuked me again. I lost everything. I lost it all. So here it is. Here's the first kill report. Total worth, that's not... Oh, that's whenever I lost my my Corvette ship. This is the hauler. My first hauler kill report. Get off there. That's not the right one. I will get this right one day. 1, 2. Oh, it's too far down. It was something like 1.6 million. Okay, and then the second one, 6.4 million. And really, it's more than that, because that mobile tractor unit sells for more than that. And you can see Triglavian, Domovix. So the status of us right now is positively terrible. So I've done phase 1 with you, the good news. I've done phase 2, the bad news. This is now phase 3, where I'm explaining to you where we're at. If I open up inventory, this is all we have to our name. We have the basic Corvette, and we have some of these things for the salvager fit, but not really anything else. Shield recharger, okay. And then that's about it. What I did in response to this, well, there's a few things. Whenever I was still over in the Minmatar space, I decided I was going to train up my trade skills. What did I train up? I did broker relations and marketing. Yeah. Those two things, because I think I might want to dabble in trying to play the market a little bit. That might create some passive income for me. But we'll see. So it wasn't too hard to train those skills. But then once I lost everything, what I did is I went off of weapon upgrades 4. And I went and trained Galente Frigate to level 3 and Galente Destroyer to level 1, because I am As long as we're going to be starting over, I'm done with Caldari vessels. I missed the Galente vessels. I like them quite a bit. And so I'm going to buy an Algos and a Catalyst. And that's going to be my new PvE Destroyer and PvE Salvager. It shouldn't cost us too terribly much. I'm actually going to be willing to go all over Kingdom Come to get the best prices. But just to give you an idea, here's a Catalyst selling for 725,000. I'm pretty sure I can do better than that. And an Algos in the regional market is selling for 1.1 million. If we alt tab and I bring up the interwebs and go to EvE market, and we put in a Catalyst, they sell in Derelict for 500,000 or Essence. Yeah, I'll probably go to Essence. 1. Well, Derelict's got 9. I'll probably go there. And then if you look up Algos, I can get an Algos for 700,000 in a few different places. There's one in Domain for 769. So for just over $1 million, I can get both ships. Now I'll have to outfit them also. And I need to get that mobile tractor unit, which those things are always expensive. So it's going to set me back again. You know, this is the second time I've been set back pretty hard. $6.2 mil in Jita. Okay. Heck, 6.8 mil. Okay. How many? 12 for 6.2. Okay. So he's got some surplus. So, that's just the unfortunate reality of it, guys, is that I'm, how long? 27? All right. So this is an informational video. I'll end this video here pretty shortly, but you see what plan I have. It's going to set me back again, probably to about the same spot from 28 to, we'll have like 23 mil. And, but again, ending it on a high note, I know how to make this money now. I mean, it's significantly better than what I was doing before. It's still not going to be good, you know, air quotes, compared to a lot of you guys that are vets. But I can make this loss that we're about to take financially on buying 2 new ships and getting them equipped. And I can make that money back relatively quickly. And then we'll be on our way to a cruiser. But I am going to go ahead and make the investment. I've already done the training time. I'm going to make the investment into Galente ships because I just think they're awesome. And we're going to go drones, man. And that's going to be, I think that's going to be good stuff for us. So that'll close it out for this episode. A little bit of high-low stuff there for you guys. It was drama, man. I was pretty torqued whenever I lost it the second time. I was upset. But I also had the right perspective. I wasn't like, this game is killing me. It was like, no, you know what? I didn't tank it, and that is my fault. I didn't tank it. And with Triglavians, you really need to be tanking your haulers now. So that's on me. And that's what EvE does. It teaches you lessons. So, again, I am Aesop Grimm. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode where this story does continue. See you then. Thanks for visiting Aesop Grimm's Chronicles. If you've made it this far in the video, please consider rating, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. I hope to see you in the next episode, and until then, stay shiny.